We're having class here, right here. All right, let's start. Good luck to all of us.
Выйти?
Thank you.
I just want to make sure I get you a good Hollywood nose.
Thank you. Is that all? Wonderful. I would like to ask all the reporters to leave the room. '63. Thanks. Confirmed. And look at me, please. Please smile. And now look at me, please. Igor, could you please take a step back? Thank you.
Look at me.
Thank you very much.
Саня, включи только ее. Голову ловил.
It's a very good spacecraft. I love it. Don't touch it. Okay, copy.
Ленинградский.
Thank you. Could you please turn? Yes, just like that.
Прошу флаги поднять.
Please raise the flags.
Сверху заход.
Oh, it wasn't here before. Yeah. From this tree. Wait, 5. Так, ну что, Брезник?
Oh, Breznik is here. All right, let's go there. You can find the spades over there.
Concrete. Oleg, можно? Да, давай.
Yes, I'll take it. Got it. Thank you.
Да. Пожалуйста.
Your turn. Thank you. You're welcome. Oh, one more time.
Stand in front of it. Stand in front of it.
У них? Нет, это поля. Конечно.
Go right into the sun? Oh, one by ear?
Не, раньше вроде карагач. Типа самый гнус. Понятно, но плохо приживается. Олег себе карагач.
Got some apple trees and cherry trees next.
Yeah.
Что вы делаете?
Так, слезаем, нормально?
How are you feeling?
Все, внимание на меня, пожалуйста.
Okay, attention, please.
Все, спасибо.
Thank you. Please don't go away anywhere.
Just participated in the tree planting tradition.
Yes.
What do you think about the significance of that? Well, it's pretty impressive to see all the trees that have grown from the first years when they were planted, and I think it's a great tradition.
Yeah, and
It kind of symbolizes the history of the space program.
yeah, you're looking at the names we're walking by. The first EVA, first human in space. It's pretty special to be a part of.
Когда первый раз полетели в космос в марте,
When you flew to space for the first time in March 2014,
все-таки настоящий выход был для вас.
and you also performed a spacewalk. So, have you changed your expectations, or what are you expecting from this next flight?
Летел в космос на самом деле для того, чтобы одно из таких
In reality,
было это как раз сделать выход в космос и
one of my goals during my first flight was to perform an EVA.
полностью такой.
I wouldn't have felt that my mission was complete
И мне
otherwise.
казалось то, что обучают правильно. То есть
And
тот
the
выход, который мы
training
отрабатываем на Земле, он
is absolutely phenomenal here, and the scenarios that we work on the ground are much harder than those that we have to perform in real
чтобы подготовить
flight.
космонавта, они адекватные.
And all the scenarios and all the training flows that exist for cosmonauts and astronauts are much more difficult than the situations we might encounter in space.
In Formula One, and I think that in tennis, and I think that any athletes who perform at the top of their profession, at high level elite athletes, are similar to astronauts in the way that we maintain focus and try to be well conditioned and prepared for our professions. So we associate with those sports and those athletes, and I think all share a common goal to be the best that we can be and inspire the youth of our world.
Humans are naturally inquisitive. We want to know what's over the horizon. And we have a long history of wondering what, it goes back thousands of years, what's above. And I think it's one thing that brings us together. And the peaceful exploration of space, I think it helps us understand our place in the universe. And it's a common goal that we share and work together on. And I think the International Space Station is a prime example of humanity at its finest.
Need to add some speed and velocity here.
And 2, 4, 5, and
Ты сегодня рефери, а Ричард и Эндрю разыграют 5 испанских партий.
Следующий, да?
Next one, please.
Не спать, не спать.
Вот до моего метронома.
Нет проблем.
No problem.
Ты полный или что?
Плюс 30.
Plus 130.
Лучше до самого.
I'm smiling.
Yeah, smiling is always better.
Хорошо.
Божье благословение, да пребудет со всеми вами.
God bless you.
Here you see
and
the
stay
crew
with you
getting blessed by
during
the
your
Russian
travels.
Orthodox priest. This is another
Let
time-honored
God
tradition.
accompany you during your
And then
travels around
usually there's some water. Yep, there's some water that gets sprayed on the crew, so you got to be prepared for that. And it's up to each crew member whether or not they want to participate in this. But to me, everything that they do over there is interesting, and it holds a lot of tradition and significance. And so
God bless you.
most of our astronauts will go through the ceremonies with their cosmonaut colleagues. And then this is probably the coolest part, which is walking out of the cosmonaut hotel. They have a traditional Russian song, which is titled basically Earth in the Window, that they are playing, and it's very motivating. You can see all of your trainers are out there. These are Russian folks you've gotten to know very well over your year and a half of training, and then you're heading off and getting on the bus, rolling to the pad. You can see they've got these white undershirts on, and that signifies that they've gone through their alcohol swabs to clean their skin, and these are basically sanitized clothing that they wear before they get into their spacesuits. So whenever you see the crews in those white mock turtlenecks there, you know that's the prime crew getting ready to get on the vehicle for the day and get the job done.
And so why do we keep them because we've always said we keep them in quarantine. Why are we doing that with the crew members?
So we keep them in quarantine to make sure they don't have any sort of bacteria or sickness in general. And then that day of launch, we try to wipe them down almost entirely with alcohol. And then they take skin swab samples just to see if you have any sort of, I guess, alien life form on you before you climb on the rocket. So obviously we don't want to get the crew on orbit sick, and their immune system's been suppressed because they've been in space for 3 or 4 months at this time. So just carrying up any virus would be very dangerous for the crew on board.
All right, well, definitely a little bit more intensive than just getting dressed for work, but here we see even more intensive as, you know, they're not just throwing on that flight suit, now they're getting into their launch and entry suits. So, I mean, what's it like to go through this process? Why are you guys wearing that suit for the flight up? I mean, what's going on?
So we obviously are wearing this suit, the Sokol pressure suit, and that is in the event of any sort of depressurization in the cabin during ascent or rendezvous. We have this backup means on board, and this would, even at a full vacuum in the capsule, if we lost all of our atmosphere inside the Soyuz, this suit, this Sokol suit, would keep us alive. And so this time when you're getting in the suit is kind of surreal. You've put it on in simulators hundreds of times, but now you have technicians there helping you get this suit on, and you know this is the outfitting for real. And so you can see Drew's face there is pretty serious, and it is a very quiet and serious time right now as you get suited up. And then you know on the other side of that curtain right behind where they're suiting up, your family's probably waiting for that last goodbye. And so you're pretty excited to get through there and see those folks.
Yeah, I imagine it's all got to be kind of setting in. This is the real deal. Well, the crew, so they get suited up at a facility called the Integration and Suit Up Facility, also called Building 254. And these guys got there at about 7:29 in the morning here in Houston. It was 6:29 over there in Baikonur. So they undergo some final medical exams and then get suited up. And then, as Reed said, they'll soon get to talk to their friends and family. I mean, what's it feel like to be in the suit like that? Is it constricting? Is it comfortable? I mean, it's probably not, you know, like wearing your sweatpants on the couch, but
you would really be surprised. As long as it is not pressurized, it's custom made for you, using your own body measurements, and it's actually a fairly comfortable suit, especially when you're sitting like this with the visor open. You can see there Ricky, the visor's behind his head right now. He doesn't have his gloves on, so it's a fairly comfortable suit to sit in. You get full range of motion. The difference would be if they had a failure on board and that suit pressurized, then it becomes a pretty rigid safety system, and then it is not the most comfortable. You get warm. You can see those blue hoses coming off the left side of each crew member. You can hook those up to cooling fans. It looks like they're actually hooked up right there, and that just runs a little bit of air through your suit and keeps you cool.
All right, well, and then after they're suited up, you guys move into another room, and what are they going to do in here? Aside from, you know, it looks like they also now get the chance to see some friends and family gathered on the other side of that glass partition.
Right, so there's a little bit of fun involved here, but the main purpose of this room, you can see Oleg Artemyev right there getting into a Soyuz seat, and they will pressurize his spacesuit to make sure that it is leak checked before he goes out to the pad. So each crew member will go through this. It's It's a very formalized event. I mean, we take it extremely seriously. This is your last chance before you climb on the rocket to test your spacesuit. But then the other part of this is fun is once you've gotten your leak check complete, you get to walk over to that window and you have a little microphone and you get to say hi to your family and friends. They give you about 20 or 30 minutes, which is, in my opinion, way too much time. You're nervous, you want to get to the rocket, and you just kind of want to say your goodbyes and say your I love yous and then move on to the rocket. So sometimes you got to think of a few funny stories to tell your friends as you're sitting there.
And we actually just saw it looked like Oleg's suit was kind of puffing up a little bit. So you actually you take it up to that full pressure, which it would be at if necessary. So is it pressurized the whole time you're in the Soyuz, or would it only pressurize in the event of a pressure loss in the cabin?
It only pressurizes in the event of a pressure loss in the cabin. So it's tough to see on this shot, but there's a blue knob kind of right in front of Drew's face there. It's pretty hard to see, but that controls your pressure. So there it is on Oleg, right below his name tag there. That blue knob controls your pressure. So if you close that down, your suit will start to pressurize. We also have on the Soyuz, we have fans that are running ventilation through that suit the whole time, so you're getting good cooling. But in the event of a failure, yeah, then the suit would puff up, and that's providing the pressure on your body to keep you alive, really, to keep your blood from boiling.
And then, so, I mean, kind of walk us back. Do you remember your time in this room? Are there nerves at all at this point? Like, because we've kind of touched on, you know, it's the real deal now. You've put the suit on 100 times in a simulator, but now you're putting it on to, you know, go to outer space.
I gotta say, every crew member is going to experience this differently. I was a rookie when I went through this, and I will tell you, I was extremely nervous at this point. You have a lot of adrenaline flowing through you. You know you're going out to your rocket. You know you're seeing your family for the last time in potentially 6 months, and there is a lot of emotion going through your head at this point in time. These are all seasoned space flyers. I think they know the challenges that they're about to face, and so I'm sure their own personal experiences are a bit different than mine, but certainly this is, you can kind of see it on their faces. This is a fairly tense time before you're heading out to the rocket. Launch loads are pretty high. It's a lot of force on the human body, and so we want that seat to fit you like a glove. Really, that's what we're trying to do. If there's any sort of gaps, you could have an injury on landing, and I'll tell you, they do an amazing job, Dan, on that seat. They build it right the first time, and if you got any issues, they'll fix it. And we've had crew members coming back for years in the Soyuz, and everybody's come back healthy.
Man, it looks super stunning. We see Drew taking a selfie with the family, I think it looks like, and all of our crew members, and we'll reiterate this throughout the broadcast, but they're on social media, so you can follow their trips on Twitter and Instagram, on their various accounts, both Ricky Arnold, Andrew Feustel, which, again, at this point, getting a chance to wave and talk to their family and kind of say, so is this the last time you get to see the friends and family before you launch?
This is it, Dan. So you're at this window. They're on the other side of that window so that the crew stays in quarantine. And then when you walk out, you get onto the bus, and you may get to wave to your family from the bus, but the next destination for this crew, I gotta tell you, they look pretty relaxed. The next destination for this crew is gonna be their Soyuz rocket.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Kathy have potato chips for us.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Mom and Dad will tell you good luck and help right before Ricky drove
Close today.
Yeah, so they're trying to do it Friday for the matchup.
Okay.
About 90%. Yeah, I think Jim was shaded out. Yeah, it was like,
Олег, Richard. Здесь мы на Земле будем обеспечить.
We're going to provide all the support to you here on the ground, along with our colleagues from NASA. Everybody who is remaining on the ground is going to provide support to you. We'll be looking forward to seeing you on the ground.
The NASA team's ready to support you. All the ground folks are all ready. They're all ready for a great expedition. Take good care of Space Station for us. Enjoy your time on Support Station. We have plenty of exciting research, lots of great work for you, lots of great EVAs. You'll have a great time on station. So do your part and take care of station, leave it in better shape than when you arrived.
Thanks, Bill. We'll all be here on the ground, ready to support you. So have a great time up there. And if you need anything, give us a call.
Thanks. We'll be sure to wait every time we fly overhead.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, and then after suit up, and they just had a moment there to talk to some of the management from NASA and Roscosmos, and then it's the walk out to the bus.
Yeah, this is definitely a surreal time. You can see in their left hand, they're holding their little ventilators that's keeping air running through their suit to keep them cool. And they stop on these white squares, very formal. And then the chief designer for the Soyuz is going to probably wish them well on their trip. And a couple last pictures, then off to the bus.
All right, well, they walked out at about 8:44 p.m. at night in Baikonur. And again, this is to get on the bus and then the ride over to launch pad number 1. That drive takes about 25 minutes. But again, one last chance to wave farewell to everybody. And then it was on to the rocket. And they arrived again about 25 minutes later at 9:09 p.m. over there in Baikonur. And then they're helped off by some various members of management and support staff from the partner agencies. So Roscosmos and NASA are represented on this flight. So we'll see a couple of faces we just saw. Some of the NASA folks over there include Bill Gerstenmaier, the Associate Administrator for Human Exploration and Operations for NASA, and Kirk Shireman, the International Space Station Program Manager. And as you can tell from the outfits, pretty fortuitous weather for a March launch, as we got the report temperatures right around 53 degrees. So normally I feel like when we do these March launches, it's freezing.
Yeah, I think they're glad they're not in the northeast of the U.S. right now, getting hit by the snowstorm rolling through there. You can see, Dan, it's a tradition to help the crew walk to the boarding ladder. To me, that was always one of the scariest parts of the flight, because it's hard to walk when you have two people holding on to you on either side. But up the ladder you go. It's a time-honored tradition as well to give the crew a little, I'll call it, help up the ladder. So if you see any of their knees or feet help the crew up the ladder as they go, that's also tradition.
Well, I would imagine, because those stairs don't look the easiest to navigate under normal conditions, let alone when you're wearing an entire spacesuit. But they're managing, and so this is, I mean, this is kind of the last time you see this many people gathered in one place for 6 months, isn't it?
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
This is waving goodbye to planet Earth.
As you can see from the number of flashes going off at night, you don't even see them because you're blinded, and then you have those flashes in your eyes every time you blink for the next 20 minutes. But here they go up the final steps up that ladder, and then these technicians here are going to load them on the elevator that you see in front of the crew, and then they're going to take that ride up to enter their vehicle.
And so what's it like being that close to the rocket at that moment? I mean, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you hearing when you're feet away from the rocket that you're about to climb on top?
The biggest thing is you want to reach out and touch it, but you can't. And it's covered in ice. It's creaking. It's alive. You can see all the steam coming off of it as you're riding up. So now you're a part of your vehicle as you're heading up there. There's a few Russian technicians that are with you. One gentleman will probably help them strap in, but aside from that, you can tell that you're becoming more and more alone as part of your crew as you ride this elevator up and get ready to get on your rocket.
Минута до контакта подъема, Гавайи. Принято 16:03, минута до контакта подъема. На борту порядок. Старту готовы. Земля, борт. Вас понял. Земля, борт.
Есть отрыв холодный прямо колонок блока есть на 10. Есть дополнительный, есть мачта 20. Есть мачта дополнительный предел.
Бортовое питание.
Зажигание кислорода.
Зажигаем кислород. Предварительное.
Двигатели первой и второй ступени работают нормально.
Двигатели работают устойчиво.
Параметры конструкции ракетоносителя в норме.
40 секунд.
Стабилизация изделия устойчивая.
Стабилизация изделия устойчивая.
Принято, на борту порядок.
Наблюдаем вас по первой камере.
Давление в камерах двигателей в норме. 60.
60 секунд.
Тангаж, рысканье, вращение в норме.
Тангаж, рысканье, вращение в норме.
Принято, на борту порядок.
Полет нормальный. 80.
80 секунд. Полет нормальный.
Параметры системы управления ракетоносителя в норме. 90.
90 секунд.
Двигатели первой и второй ступени работают нормально.
Двигатели первой и второй ступени работают нормально.
100.
Принято, 16-3. На борту порядок.
Параметры
Сброс до УСА с
ракетоносителя
отделения
в
первой
норме.
ступени через 10 секунд.
Ожидаем.
110. Тангаж, рысканье, вращение в норме. 120. Есть выключение двигателей боковых блоков.
Есть отделение первой
отделение
ступени.
боковых блоков.
Есть отделение первой ступени, почувствовали.
130.
На борту порядок, самочувствие экипажа отличное.
Стабилизация изделия устойчивая.
Стабилизация изделия устойчивая.
Принимаем.
140. Параметры конструкции ракетоносителя в норме. 150. Двигатель второй ступени работает нормально. 160.
Есть
160
управляемый
секунд.
спуск.
Есть
45.
Принято, есть управляемый спуск.
Есть раствор
Подтверждаем
головного обтекателя.
отделение головного обтекателя.
Параметры системы управления ракетоносителя в норме. 180.
180 секунд.
Стабилизация изделия
Выдали
устойчивая.
Р-13.
Наблюдаем по второй камере, видим Б2.
190. Параметры конструкции ракетоносителя в норме. 200.
200 секунд.
Двигатель второй ступени работает нормально.
Двигатель второй ступени работает нормально.
210.
Принято, на борту порядок. Самочувствие экипажа
Параметры
отличное.
системы управления
В норме.
ракетоносителя в норме.
Я вас понял.
220. Полет нормальный. Время КП 23 часа 44 минуты 23 секунды 396 миллисекунд. 230.
230 секунд.
Стабилизация изделия устойчивая.
Стабилизация изделия устойчивая.
240.
Принято, 16-3. Репортаж принимаем.
Двигатель
На борту
второй
порядок.
ступени работает нормально. 250. Тангаж, рысканье, вращение в норме. 260.
260 секунд.
Параметры конструкции ракетоносителя в норме.
Параметры конструкции носителя в норме.
270.
20 секунд до отделения второй ступени.
Параметры системы управления ракетоносителя в норме. 280. Прошел гарантийный
отделение второй ступени. Принято, подтверждаем. Есть включение двигателя третьей ступени. 300 секунд.
Есть сброс панели хвостового отсека.
Есть сброс панели хвостового отсека.
310.
Принято. Выдали команду Р-11.
Стабилизация изделия.
Принимаем изображение с первой камеры.
320. Параметры конструкции ракет-носителя в норме.
Здесь Гавайи, параметры бортовых систем норма. На борту порядок. Самочувствие экипажа праздничное.
Двигатель третьей ступени работает нормально. 340.
340 секунд.
Параметры системы управления в норме.
Давление в камере сгорания в норме.
350.
Принято.
Полет нормальный. 360. Тангаж, рысканье, вращение в норме. 370.
370 секунд. Полет нормальный.
Параметры конструкции ракетоносителя в норме.
Принято. На борту порядок.
380. Двигатель третьей ступени работает нормально. 390. Параметры системы управления ракетоносителя в норме.
400 секунд. Параметры системы управления носителем в норме.
Стабилизация изделия устойчивая. 410. Полет нормальный. 420.
420 секунд.
Тангаж, рысканье, вращение в норме.
Принято.
Тангаж, рысканье, вращение в норме.
430.
Принято. Параметр бортовых систем норма. На борту
Двигатель
порядок.
третьей ступени работает нормально.
Я вас понял, принимаю вас хорошо.
440. Стабилизация изделия устойчивая. 450.
450 секунд.
Полет нормальный.
Полет нормальный.
Принято, Гоша, принято.
460. Параметры конструкции ракетоносителя в норме. 470. Двигатель третьей ступени работает нормально. 480.
480. Двигатель третьей ступени работает нормально.
Параметры системы управления в норме.
Принято. На борту порядок. Самочувствие экипажа праздничное.
Понял вас. До контакта отделения полминуты.
Принято.
500.
500 секунд. Полет нормальный.
Полет нормальный. 510.
510.
Тангаж, рысканье, вращение в норме. 520.
520. Приготовьтесь к ГК-3.
Готовы.
Параметры системы управления в норме. 530. Есть выключение двигателя третьей
Есть
ступени.
ГК.
Есть отделение транспортного пилотируемого
Есть
корабля
КО.
Soyuz MS-08.
Давай, поздравляю вас с успешным выведением.
Транспортный
До связи.
пилотируемый корабль Soyuz MS-08
Удачного
выведен
полета.
на орбиту искусственного спутника Земли.